Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to talk about what everyone has been thinking about prismatic evolutions. And if you should be buying into the set right now. It's been experiencing more reprints as always, but the price just seems to be holding at 2 times MSRP. And we're kind of in a position where we're not sure what to do. Do we buy into it? Do we hold off for more reprints? Will the price even drop, into the future? And 8 months ago, we kind of starting to realize that this is when they were saying, hey, we're going to be, printing prismatic as much as possible. More products from Prismatic Evolution's lineup will be launching in the coming months. And they definitely weren't lying. We've been seeing a lot more, Sam's Club, Costco restocks. Um, Even the Pokemon Center has restocked the PCETVs multiple times. In fact, they still have this description up saying that more inventory of this product will become available later this year, which could kind of indicate that we're going to get even more Pokemon Center PCETVs for Prismatic. But all of that doesn't really seem to be changing the price points at all for Prismatic. It feels like this set is defying all expectations. And to be fair, the current market conditions that we're in um, are very weird. Every single Scarlet and Violet set is over MSRP. There is not a single one that is even close to MSRP. I think there's like a floor of $230 for a booster box, right? Let alone an ETB, I think is like minimum like 70 to 80 bucks, right? For like Black Bolt and White Flare. You can only find that some places. And if we look at the set list, it's still holding up very strongly at 4K. The Umbreon has still retained a lot of its value. Of course, all the evolutions are at the top, but you still have big chase cards like Roaring Moon, this amazing Ceruledge. Um, I love this Goldengo, Raging Bolt. I mean, these could be, chase cards in other sets, but they just decided to throw all of them into a single set, which to me is crazy. But it also signifies to me that Pokemon still has plans to reprint more Prismatic. Why do I say this? Well, because they wouldn't make these SIRs so hard to hit if they weren't planning on printing a crap ton of them. That way, the value of the cards can still be sustained, right? Like these chase cards are still pretty rare, even if they print a lot of the product. Um, it's kind of inevitable that they'll still retain some sort of value. So I would expect this to drop even more into the coming year. I think we'd probably reach like maybe 3.5k total value, but that's still a lot. If we look at Terrestrial Festival, I mean, this is still holding up at like 2.3 total value. And the sealed product again still over 100, like around $100 for just a Terrestrial Festival booster box. And the set is kind of defying expectations. So let's look at the price points here. The ETB is around 100. It's actually on the lower end of the price. It's been as high as like 130, 150. It seems was like the biggest high. Um, and I think if you're gonna buy into Prismatic, if you buy right now, you are kind of technically buying, the low, which is crazy to me to say. I did genuinely think a few months ago that we were gonna like the waves of Prismatic reprints were going to tank the price enough to where you could get it for 70, $60 even maybe. Clearly, that is not the case. The EV promo that comes with it is also decently a decent price. Like I think it's 45 bucks, which is not bad at all. Um, and obviously the set in general is just super coveted. The super premium collection I believe is around 240, 250, which is not a bad price at all. I think if you can get it for 200, that's not bad. You get a fruitcake Eevee promo, and I think it's like what 11 packs, or sorry, 15 packs. That's really good, honestly. So I think this is, definitely a buy. I think we'll get more reprints of this though, reaching Costco and Sam's Club. So maybe wait on this. Um, but honestly, for the ETBs, I think we need to start looking at buying into them. Um, I was always kind of on the train of just wait a little bit. I think we'll get a better price point. Plus, I was able to catch a few drops, a few restocks here and there. So I was thankfully not getting every single one at market price. Like a lot of my cost basis was at just MSRP, which is nice. But I understand for the majority of people, it's just not attainable. Most people are buying on aftermarket prices. You're usually buying from scalpers, unfortunately. But if you want to invest in prismatic, you kind of have to do that. Um, or what you could do, which I think is actually might be the move right now, is buy a case. Um, Cases of prismatic evolutions, especially the ETBs, are going to be harder to come by the more time goes on, simply because these cases are only given to like card stores, um, or like distributors, right, who are distributing them around. And big box retailers that get prismatic evolutions, they're going to open the case and they're going to put the ETBs out for display, or they're getting them in like the Costco bundles or the Sam's Club bundles, right, that come with like a booster pack or like a Pokeball tin or something with the ETB. So you're not getting like these sealed cases as much. So that's why recently I just picked up a sealed case. You want to make sure that it's a sealed case, right? See, this one is actually an open case, and they're double boxing it. Um, if you're gonna pay this much money for a case, you might as well just get an actual sealed case that is fully sealed from a verified seller. This is like an actual TCG store. It looks like Brain Games, right? So I would be buying cases of prismatic evolutions right now. I'm not gonna lie. I think we've seen what the restocks have done. I did genuinely think the price would come down over time. I thought demand might fall off a bit. Nope, nope. And clearly Pokemon is going to print more of these. Going to the future, they've very clearly been like super honed in on reprinting prismatic, but it doesn't matter. The market is too strong right now, and I'm worrying that when we go into the holiday season, it's going to get even worse. I don't necessarily see this getting better when all the adults want to buy, children gifts. Everyone wants prismatic evolutions. They're going to be maxing out their credit cards just to buy prismatic, and I think this price is going to pump up even more. And at that point, if Pokemon stops printing ETBs, and starts printing the bundles more, like they've shown with other sets, they prefer to do like 151, for example. They kind of stop printing the ETBs and then focus on printing the bundles more, because I think those are probably just more cost effective. Then we could see the ETBs just skyrocket. So I think while it is kind of quote unquote plentiful and available, which feels insane to say because it it technically isn't, right? It wouldn't be above MSRP if everyone could get prismatic, as much as they wanted. But unfortunately, it seems like this is one of the more plentiful eras of prismatic we're going to get, and the price is not going down. So I would say probably pick up a case, probably pick up a few ETBs. If you have none, I think you need to buy a few minimum. And at $100, it's not the worst price, if I'm being honest. Like I think there's worse plays you could be making. For $100, I think it's an easy buy. If you're looking to case up, I don't think that's a bad idea either. I would again recommend you buy from like a store and maybe verify you're getting a sealed case that is actually fully sealed, so you get that sealed premium on top of it, because you are paying a premium price for a sealed case, right? I think you're paying like probably $20 more per ETB. So it's a hard thing, a hard pill to swallow, but it is what it is. You have to buy into prismatic. Would I be buying the bundles right now? Not necessarily. I think if anything, I would wait for the bundle displays and just the regular booster bundles. Yeah, I mean, you can't even find the prismatic, evolution booster bundle display case. There's just no listings available. I think they were only like released in the UK or something. And they didn't really reach America. So, finding those is tough. And so for me, I'm assuming that we're going to see like a 151 kind of reprint scenario. And so I assume the bundles are probably going to come down. However, if you saw what happened with 151, reprint after reprint didn't actually save it that much. It still kind of kept steadily climbing. So I could be wrong on that front as well. But personally, I'm just holding on for booster bundles. I'm not buying into them yet. I prefer, if I'm going to buy a booster bundle, I would prefer to buy the display case anyway. So I'm kind of going to wait for more reprints to come. And if you don't think that more reprints are coming for prismatic in general, if you think they're going to start focusing on mega, I would definitely disagree on that front. I do think prismatic is getting reprints for sure. I just don't know how much they're going to be affected, and I don't know if they're going to reprint the ETB specifically. How do I know they're going to reprint, booster bundles or some prismatic product in general in the future, well, just take a look at the pop reports, right? So for this Umbreon, Sword and Shield Evolving Skies, right? Obviously, you know, the population is pretty high because it's an older set, 2021. It's had 4 years in circulation, so a lot of the packs have been ripped. But 18,000 population for PSA 10s. And in terms of the total pop graded, it looks like there's around 25,000. Right? That's pretty good numbers. Now let's check the Umbreon EX from Prismatic, which, to be fair, again, has still only come out this year, but around 7,000 population, right? So clearly we have a lot of ways to go for, prismatic products to be opened. I think these have somewhat similar pull rates. If anything, the Evolving Skies might have worse pull rates. I'm not entirely sure, but I definitely do think we're going to be getting more prismatic evolutions, printed in general. I think that's why they made the SIR so hard to pull, because then they feel like they can just reprint the set to Kingdom Come and the prices will still kind of be maintained for the top chase cards. Because Pokemon does realize that having a high price for a top chase card is good, right? It makes it more valuable and people want the product more. So obviously they're not going to try and overprint, the cards so that the chase cards are meaningless. And so I think that's why they made the SIRs hard to pull, and they're probably going to print it more. However, are we going to get the specific Elite Trainer box, especially the case version? That is kind of, unknown. We have no real idea. And if we check a set like 151, you can see that even though, they reprinted a lot of these products, the Blooming Waters got a ton of reprints, Booster Bundles got a ton of reprints, the UPCs were very widely available, even the ETBs are widely available for a time. Once they stopped making them, they just kind of skyrocketed, right? $350 for, 151 ETB. PC ETB as well is like $1,000. Now, I don't think the Prismatic PC ETB is going to climb, as fast as the 151, simply because there's so many more printed. I think Prismatic is probably the most printed Pokemon Center ETB of all time. But, at the same time, obviously Prismatic is a very sought after set. It has a much higher total value. The Pokemon hobby is filled with degenerate gamblers that love, ripping open packs on Whatnot and live streams. And so these live streamers are going through ETBs, they're going through bundles, they're going through any prismatic product that they can find. So I think if you can buy into prismatic now, you probably should. I was on the waiting train a few months ago, to be completely honest with you guys, and I still kind of am. I think in the holiday season we'll probably get more product. However, the summer slowdown has not affected prices in the way that I imagined. Pokemon Company did not print enough to demand as I imagined. Now, after the holiday season, could we see a huge, supply drop of Prismatic into the market? 100% we could. And maybe, even at that point, Pokemon has opened a new printing facility and now, tons of Prismatic are being dumped. But that also means that they're going to be ignoring other sets, right? That means they're going to be ignoring other sets from Scarlet and Violet if they're dropping everything for Prismatic. That means, if Prismatic is getting that kind of treatment, what does that say for Destined, Journey, Surging, right? I mean, don't even mention the older SV sets. These are probably never getting touched if Prismatic is going to be at the forefront. And so that's why for me, my current investing strategy is to buy some Prismatic. As I mentioned, I bought a case recently. I already have a lot of ETBs, but I want to stock up on ETBs because I know how good they are. If you've seen the 151 ETB situation, like I remember buying them for like $80, $70, $80 a year ago. And I think that's one of the best investments I've made, right? It was 151 is done amazingly. I think Prismatic is kind of in that same boat. But ultimately, I would be looking at these older Scarlet and Violet products because there's no way, even if they, you're kind of hedging your bets either way. Either Prismatic ETBs don't get a ton more reprints, or they do get reprinted a ton, which is okay. You take your losses, but you just hold on. Maybe you dollar cost average in, but you still buy older sets. So you're kind of looking fine either way. You win either way. Specifically in terms of older sets, you can check out my last video where I talked about, some sets that are kind of, the time is running out. Long story short, 151, Paldea Evolve, Twilight, and Paldean Fates are probably going to be your best pickups as of right now. I think Twilight and Surging just got a bit of a reprint, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not buying any bundles, though. I'm still holding off on those. I think those could come down even more, but they're definitely going to be printing more Prismatic. Don't get that wrong. We could even see more PC ETBs. The market's too strong. The market is too strong. So what are you guys doing for Prismatic? Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.